Good evening, and hello New York, and hello Los Angeles. We're streaming this at the same time, and
where's Los Angeles?
It's that way.
No, I know, but where's the camera?
The camera's over there in the
Just
dark,
so you know.
right in the middle
Okay.
someplace, I think. At least that's what they told me. My name is Chuck Rose, and I am honored to be here tonight, and it's time to introduce our guests, two phenomenal actors. You just saw them doing their best work. Right there on the end, we have a terrific talent who has won every award in the world. She's won the Grammy Award, the Emmy Award, 2 Golden Globes, 2 British Academy Awards, 3 SAG Awards.
Fuck you.
That's what I'm talking
Sorry.
Wait till I get to you. All right. Okay. And 6 Oscar nominations for a few films you may have seen: Sense and Sensibility, a little independent film that you may have heard of, Titanic, Iris, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Little Children, and she won the Oscar for her performance in The Reader. Please welcome Kate Winslet.
Thank you.
And we have another actor with a mantelpiece that is about to fall down. He has done dozens of incredible film and television projects. Among his many honors, he won 2 National Board of Review Awards. He was nominated for 3 SAG Awards, count 'em. He won with the cast for No Country for Old Men. And he was nominated for an Academy Award for his performance in Milk. And I just wanted to let you know, I'm going to petition the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences for another Oscar nomination for No Country for Old Men, because that movie just blows my mind.
Oh, cool.
I think it's phenomenal. Please welcome Josh Brolin. And I want to say congratulations to both of you for really doing outstanding work in this film. I saw it, all by myself in a screening room, and I was just, completely choked up and had no one to talk to. But I wanted to thank you for really doing your best work. I mean, you've done incredible work, but really nothing better than this. Just spectacular stuff. And I want to start off with a question that I would ask Jason, the director, if he was here. But I know both of you...
I thought you just called me Jason.
No, you're Josh. Jason...
I know. I just had a moment.
He missed the plane. He was going to come, but he's in an airport. He's lost. This for him, because I know he's spoken about this, and I'll get to your opinions too. This for him is a departure. His other films, Juno, Up in the Air, Thank You for Smoking, a lot of clever banter, sarcasm, cynicism. There's none of that here. No snark. In fact, I heard Paramount's going to put on the poster, no snark in this movie, just to separate it from his other work. Right. He calls this, in his own words, a faithful adaptation. So what I would ask him and what I'm asking you is, tell us about Joyce Maynard, who wrote the book, and her influence on you, and really what compelled you to want to make this film.
Go for it.
No, I like listening to you first.
All right, so what is the question?
Why did you make this movie?
I mean, Joyce, look, I got to know Joyce long after I got to know Jason. I think Kate spent a lot more time with Joyce, isn't that right? Than I did. Joyce, I hate talking about it, but Joyce taught me how to bake a pie. That's what I know about Joyce. So I read the book. I was very moved by the book, which is really why I did the movie. And then you have all the other elements of knowing Jason, and then we waited 1.5 years for Kate to be free in order to do this film, because I mean, I don't think there's any one right person for a part, but for some reason, Kate was really the only person that should ever do this part and should have ever done this part. So nominate her for it. No, I'm just kidding. No, and it's true, because, it's one of those things. And then also to go into Jason, then I'll go into Joyce. But, you don't look at a film like this and go, God, who would be great? It'd be Jason Reitman to direct this film, and he's like the guy who shouldn't direct this film.
Right.
And then you see the film, and at least from my point of view, I can't imagine anybody else directing this film. And as a departure, you know, I don't really see it as a dark departure because he's a very nuanced director. If you look at all his films from Thank You for Smoking on, he's a very nuanced director. He just went in a different, he just, you know, it's revealing another part of himself, a part that I think is very present. It's just the movie-going public hasn't really known about it. So it's a nice marriage between him and Joyce. But my experience with Joyce is just reading a fantastic book and wanting to be involved.
In a way, I hate to get historical, but I remember when Woody Allen did Interiors, like the world stopped. It was like Bob Dylan doing electric music. It's like when an artist does something different, all of a sudden everybody is like, wait, you can't do that because you do this, right? But he does it.
It was really interesting, actually, just listening to Jason talk about his decision to do this film just in Toronto. Because he's almost baffled when people say, oh, this is such a departure for you. Right. And people do keep saying it. Because it does, I suppose tonally, it does feel quite different to everything he's done before. But for me, for my money, I feel that everything Jason has ever done has been different from the previous thing. And, you know, that's a great filmmaker. That's somebody who is interested in the human condition. That's somebody who is great at telling stories, which he absolutely is. And that's somebody who just wants to experience being with different characters for a while. And that takes incredible skill and guts. And so for us, I am going to speak for both of us because I know that we did both feel this way. It was very, very easy to trust Jason because he is incredibly good at what he does, and he does know what he wants, and he is actually always right. You know, we would kind of come with our suggestions, and I would say, "Well, don't you think? You know, I'm just."
This actually happened. Yeah.
I'll say it. I'll say it. Yeah. So I'd be like, Jason. He'd say no.
And he was
I'd
right.
come up to her and I'd be like, "Do you like what he's doing?" Okay.
But it was quite, in a way, I mean, and that's not to say that it wasn't collaborative, because it was as well, but there were definitely a lot of moments when I would find myself really having to get used to the fact that this director was absolutely right. He was more right than we were, and his ideas were better. I mean, it was really just the case, and it was incredibly liberating just going with that, absolutely allowing him to really take those reins, because he's very, very clever. We're really lucky.
I want to ask you, Kate, did you read the book or the screenplay first?
I read the screenplay first, yeah.
And then you read the book?
Yeah, and then I read the book.
This, I think, you know, as terrific as a writer, both of them. I mean, he's a great screenwriter and she's a great novelist. As good as they are, I think the novel is easier to write and easier to pull off. I think the film version is more challenging for a lot of reasons. And I want to ask you, if you can think back to your first reading, you're reading the screenplay, you're in the beginning, you're turning the pages, your character Adele is in the store. What convinced you that she would behave the way she does, that she wouldn't scream for the police or do something different? You must have been convinced of that, otherwise you wouldn't have made the movie, I don't think.
To be perfectly honest with you, I think I liked the element of the not knowing as well. I mean, even Joyce, it was one of the first questions I said to her is, why the hell does she take this man home with her? I mean, I wanted to know the answer. But the truth is, life isn't like that. We don't always have the answer. We can't always know. And to me, I didn't mind the ambiguity of that moment. But one thing that I did feel with a movie of this weight, with so much suspense in it, so obviously at the beginning, and with the amount of fear that Adele and Henry feel, and hopefully the audience feels as well, that level of tension needs to be balanced out somewhere. And so for me, I thought, okay, well, I can't play tension, I can't play fear completely. Oh, I actually just have to play the truth of this moment. It was really just about playing the truth. What would that woman do? She sees that her son is standing there with a strange man who's clearly injured in some way and looks a bit threatening. Well, I wouldn't scream immediately and run. I don't know what he's got in his pockets.
And he had his hand on her son.
He did, and he's got, you know, I don't know, he's got a knife, a gun in his pocket, absolutely anything. All I can feel is that I've got to get my son away from him somehow and get out of that store. And I don't think...
Or sleep with him.
Okay, Josh. And so... I really fucking hate you. If you all weren't here, I'd lick the side of his face. Yeah, or take him home and sleep with him. I mean, obviously she thought that too.
There may be something to that.
Next question.
Next question is for you, Josh. Your character, Frank, has many lines of dialogue, especially in the beginning, that can be performed with all sorts of pacing, inflection, and meaning. I mean, I was listening to the words, and I was listening to your performance, and you really have a lot of, you know, like, well, I'm just being good here, or I'm telling you something, and if you don't pay attention, I may kill you, or, I mean, there's all these possible ways to read, especially in the beginning, what those lines may mean. How did you decide or figure out how to deliver those lines? Questions get harder as we go along.
No, they are. They're hard. You don't know. I mean, there's a great moment in No Country for Old Men where Javier Bardem looks to the right when he's talking to the proprietor. He looks to the right, and he takes a moment. And it's one of the most threatening moments, I think, in cinematic history. And then he goes back and then says his line. And I walked up to him after the
guy with the coin in the store?
Yeah, the guy with the coin in the store. And I walked up to him and I said, "You couldn't remember your next line, right?" And he goes, "No, I could not."
So that's why I didn't get Best Picture. Yeah. That's why there will be blood.
You should give back the Academy Award. No. You know, you don't know in those moments. You have no idea in those moments what's going to work, what's not. I'm a very animated guy. I fuck around a lot, obviously, and you know, to do this kind of to encompass that kind of stillness, or to lend yourself to that kind of stillness, with Jason was very, very tough. And he's also a filmmaker who's used to making films, even though they all are so different. Like she said, you know, they're very dialogue driven, and this is a very quiet film. So, you know, do we trust him to do this? And I have done stiller films, but not as still as this one. So when you lend yourself to not doing anything, I mean, I would do a scene or do a take with her, and I'd move my hand like that, and Jason would come up and he'd say, "Don't move your hand in the next take." And which I didn't trust, I don't think so much while it was happening, and it wasn't until we saw the movie that we went, wow, because once all that, when it doesn't have a place, when actors aren't distracting, you know, they think it's an acting thing. They want, you know, this is great acting. You know what I mean? And when you're not doing that, then the eyes do something, and there's more going on because it doesn't have any place to go. And that's all Jason. I mean, it's really all Jason. So I had not a lot to do with it.
I want to say one more thing about No Country for Old Men, because we were talking about
Titanic, No Country for Old Men.
No, we'll get back to Labor Day, I promise. I know we're here to talk about that, but we were talking about Breaking Bad earlier before we started here and how it's the best thing on television. I don't think there'd be a Breaking Bad if there wasn't a No Country for Old Men. I think there's influence from that on that show. So
I love this, man.
I'm telling you. You can take that with you. Let's get back to the show. Thank you. You're very kind. This film, Labor Day, is a three-hander. It's not a 2.5-hander. It's a three-hander. We have two very experienced actors, two of the best in the world, who happen to be sitting here. And you had also a 13-year-old boy, Henry, played by Gatlin Griffith. Now, this kid is a real find. And he has to be right up there with you every step of the way. Otherwise, this film doesn't work. How did you work together to get to the level you needed to be at with this young actor?
That was her. I mean, you have to talk. You have to talk about that.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, he is so incredible in the film, and we were so lucky to have him. This young man, because he is a young man, he's a really wonderful human being. His whole demeanor is something that actually I envy. I mean, he's so courteous. He's incredibly generous. He's really kind, very sweet, and I have to say, I mean, I just could see in him on day one how nervous he was, and I just thought, oh God, I remember feeling like this, you know, because I was feeling like it myself, probably in that moment as well. But I think I just wanted to be able to be there for him. You know, I wanted to absolutely have that comfortability with him, and to be able to find a level of sort of affection with him that wasn't in any way inappropriate, that was just totally natural. And that's how I am anyway. I mean, I'm very sort of, oh, hi, how you doing? And I'll sort of, you know, give someone a hug at the beginning of a day. But, you know, with a 13-year-old boy, not every 13-year-old boy really wants you to do that. So I knew that I needed to gain his trust. And, you know, it's that wonderful age. It's such a privilege, I think, to be around young people of this age, because it's that wonderful age where they're really reaching out, and they've got a billion questions every day, and they don't know whether to ask the questions or just live with them. Maybe they're stupid for even having the question. Maybe the question's a stupid question, full stop. And I just wanted him to know that none of it was stupid, that all of it was relevant, and that's how you learn, is by asking questions. And that's how I learned. And I was able to be in that very privileged position where he did ask me everything, you know. And it took us, you know, probably 2 or 3 weeks to get away from the Miss Winslet and Mr. Brolin. And then it was Miss Kate, and I finally got him onto Kate. It was so sweet. But he's a very, very grounded boy, and it was wonderful, actually, as the shoot would go on, to see him more and more relying on his instincts and really, you know, counting on what he had and how he felt and using that on screen. I mean, that wonderful moment when he stares at the two of them and says, "Will I ever see you again?" And he's got those huge, fat tears in his eyes. They were so fat and so real, I can't tell you. And before that take, it was gorgeous to watch him. I was like, oh yes, that's right. He just took himself off, you know. And then he came back in, and bang, he was there. But he taught himself all of those things, you know, and it was so fantastic to witness that, to get to be a part of that in some way. He's a really special person.
For somebody to be that, I mean, we just saw him up in Toronto, and he's a different kid now. And not that he's not nice and cordial and all that anymore. He's just a different kid. He's got a deeper voice and all that. So that was right at the moment that he was his most exposed. You know, he's just this raw nerve walking around wanting to do well. And yet to allow himself to be that exposed on film is just, it's just, you're just in awe. You're in awe.
There was a great moment on your first day, which was the scene when they meet in Price Mart at the beginning, and Gatlin was absolutely beside himself that day with nerves. And I'd had about 10 days of shooting already with him, so we had our little comfortable thing going on. And then Josh turns up, who's obviously terrifying. And Gatlin was just all shaky and sweaty. And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Well, you know, he's kind of really intimidating. And, you know, I just feel... God, I'm just, you know," it's like his palms were sweating. And I looked at him and I just said, "Great, you don't have to do any acting then." And he literally went, "Oh, right." Like, you know, but it was just great to, you know, it was just great just seeing him process, oh, wow, I can just be. I don't have to act it. I can just be it, you know. It was a really wonderful penny drop moment, you know. It was just great.
Like you in the store. Like your character in the store?
Yeah, exactly like that.
You touched on something I want to follow up on, Josh. There's a lot communicated here without words and subtext. Again, unlike Jason's other films. A lot of close-ups where you literally communicate with your eyes. And I have observed that the best movie actors in the world can act with their eyes in ways that you can look into their eyes and read so much and get so much more from their eyes than any lines of dialogue. And you both have that ability. And I'm wondering, in this film where it's really required and you really deliver on that, how do you do that? I mean, is it instinctive? Is it just part of your process inside and it shows on your eyes? Or is there technique involved?
No, you know, it's similar to the question that you just asked before, and you obviously didn't get the answer that you wanted.
I'll just keep going.
No, and I understand the question, and it's one of those things that, you know, you're hopefully you have enough going on inside. You know, Kate asks a lot of questions, and as much as we play around on the set, and as much as I believe in, especially within drama, and not living in that drama all the time, and having some kind of levity on the set so you have somewhere to go, so you're acting more organically, you're reacting more organically. That's my thing, that's my selfish thing. But, you know, hopefully you've done enough within that research, within that behavior, and lend yourself, which she's so amazing at, which I'm so thankful for, that when, you know, Jason says action, that it's 1,000% commitment. It's not 100%, it's 1,000% commitment. I totally believe that this moment is happening no matter what. We are in a profession of humiliation. We're gonna be embarrassed, we're gonna look stupid. He's gonna cut out all the garbage, and hopefully he'll be able to grab those nuggets, and, you know, that are the most organic and the most real. And you're just hoping for the best, you know, you just kind of lend yourself. So sometimes you look up, you know, Kate has a line, and I look at her, and then I decide to look at the kid, and then I look back at her, and, you know, half the time you're going, God, I hope that wasn't too long, looking at the kid, and I look down, like, what's my line? And then other times you actually have a moment where it's really real. And the strange thing is, like what I just said about Javier, you know, you're starting at the beginning every movie. You feel like you've never done a movie in your life, you know? So when we're all at the Price Mart or whatever it's called, you know, all of us are sitting there looking at each other, and, you know, you read the awards, and it's meaningless. It's just like, I don't know how to do this anymore. I just want to be good.
Haven't got a fucking clue.
Haven't had a fucking clue.
Haven't got a fucking clue.
You know?
I'm going to get fired any minute now.
They should have auditioned me before this role, because they wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. They read the wrong name off the list when they phoned me up.
It was a different Kate. It was a different
Just
time.
FYI, the feeling never goes away.
Never goes away.
Ever.
So, you know, that thing where Jason's smart enough to be able to know when to get in the eyes or when to, you know, and we could feel, there were times where we'd be doing a scene and I'd start shaking during the scene for no reason. Just felt exposed that day, and okay, well, let's get in there and, you know, exploit that. You know, and then it works for the film. It's up to him to see what the feeling is and what the ambiance is for that day, and then how to best utilize it to the story.
But just to add to what you were saying about how little dialogue there is, it was one of the things that I was really struck by, actually, when I first read the script. I remember thinking, does anyone say anything? You know, 15 pages in, oh, there's a line, okay. You know, but that to me, I thought, God, okay, that's going to be a challenge for all of us, you know, because we've both played characters who have so much to say and who are obviously either one thing or another, or incredibly strong, or, you know, powerful or passionate, whatever it might be. And these two characters, they meet in an incredibly complex, really unconventional way, but actually what they share is so beautiful and simple. And how Jason really used the sparse dialogue and the atmosphere to create the connection that you feel between the two of them, to me, was incredibly real. You know, someone said the other day, so how do you feel about the implausibility of these two people getting together? And I was like, I mean, I was shocked. I was really shocked, because to me, it always felt absolutely genuine, 100%. And I fully believed it from the word go. And so the lack of dialogue, I think, really does allow us as individuals to all just gently experience what they're experiencing, you know, seeing them seeing each other. You know, when that great moment when Jason had us both sit on the stairs and we're eating pie, and Henry sees us in the reflection of his video game. You know, that's all about the two of them feeling each other's heartbeats and breathing and smelling his sweat. I mean, it was really like that. I mean, it absolutely felt sort of hot and sweaty and claustrophobic in that house. And he used all of those things, and that is all Jason.
And that's better than dialogue, because you don't act the words, you act the meaning underneath.
You get to feel the chemistry more, you know. And we're lucky because we get along, so it becomes easy, you know. It'd be horrible if you were with somebody where you're just like, eesh.
And you can see that on the screen. Like when actors don't bond, you can tell they're just, as soon as the director says cut, they're going to go in opposite directions.
Right.
But you know, when you have some kind of feeling, or you can really fake it, you know, that's acting. That's,
We weren't faking it, were we? When you can really fake it.
no, it's better if it's real. That's all I'm saying. There's a lot of terrific scenes in this film, and we can't talk about all of them, but I just want to touch on a few. There's, you know, we think we know where this thing might be going. It's starting to feel warm when you get to the house, and then there's this pounding at the door. Now, I don't know if you on the set heard the pounding, but in the audience, remember how loud that was? You jumped out of your seats. And your character, Frank, like a cat, grabs Adele and presses your arm up against her throat, and you are grabbing his forearm, and the camera just holds on you for a second, and there's so much going on there in that moment. And then the neighbor, J.K. Simmons, the fine actor, has his great scene. But that moment there where at first it's menacing and scary, but then as we watch it and we watch you, we can feel, wait a minute, there's something here that's not, there's something warm here. There's some, you know, affection here. There's some interest here. It's not what it looked like in the first split second. So my question is, did you shoot that in different ways, and how did you arrive at what we saw on the screen?
We didn't shoot it other ways.
No, we didn't. No, we didn't shoot it other ways. The knock at the door. Someone did knock at the door for us. I think they did, because we all had to react at exactly the same time. Yeah, so someone did do that knock. It definitely wasn't as loud, but it was pretty loud. I think the only real adjustments in terms of the staging that Jason may have made were which part of the wall Josh and I were standing against, literally. You know, it was 2 inches here and 2 inches there. Can you join in?
Yeah. Sorry, I know that's. I heard you in my head.
No, I'm trying to think. There must be something more interesting we can say about that moment, because.
Let me try.
Okay, go.
No.
Well, you got lucky. It was a great moment. I mean,
I mean that's the moment that they used for the poster. So
yeah.
But
that's
I mean,
right. That is the still that, and you see all over.
What
the
I
place.
loved about the book, and what I love about moments like that, is you're reminded again that. Hopefully you ask yourself the question, at least I did, as objectively as I could watch the film or when I read the book, is this a construction? Is this a full manipulation from this guy? And is he really creating something to selfishly manifest by the end of the movie? You know what I mean? You're reminded, you start to like the guy at that point,
right?
And then you're reminded how threatening he truly is.
And that's his instinctual reaction.
That's his instinctual reaction, because he just spent 18 years in prison and he doesn't want to go back. Or, again, is he protecting this thing? I mean, honestly, at least from my point of view, he's emotionally where he was when he went into prison, and he's needy. He wants connection, and she wants connection. He's been isolated physically. She's been totally isolated because of this projection of romance that she has. And it's just two people who are just chemically popping. You know what I mean?
But it happens in a split second. You see it on the screen happen like it's like a flashbulb almost in reverse. I mean, it's really a wonderful moment.
Yeah, and there is a lot more going on in that moment, I think, as you're identifying than meets the eye. You know, it's not just about, oh shit, he can't, you know, the neighbor can't find him here. I mean, I very much felt, as well as afraid, protected by Frank in that moment too.
Yeah. At first, it's like you don't want him to choke you, and then it's like
don't want him to let me go.
It's like you're embracing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I felt all of those things going on as well. You know, it's this dance. It's all part of that sort of early dance. You know.
There's about 10 more scenes, but I'm going to limit it to one because I know we can't stay here all night. Now, this film's called Labor Day, and we all just had a Labor Day last week, everyone here. And on my Labor Day, I was stuck in traffic, and then I cursed at a bunch of people, and I ate fish. We're running out of time here, so I had to make it quick.
Just make shit up.
Right. Now, in this film, in this Labor Day, you don't eat fish. You have this peach pie. Now, I didn't even know I liked peach pie until I saw this movie. Now, I can't stop thinking about peach pie. It is just unbelievable. So, you know, it's something like, you know, you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. You can give a man a rolling pin and a bucket of fruit and a crescent wrench and he'll have sex with a beautiful woman. Something like that. But what I'm trying to interpret the film. But here's my question. That is not my question. My question is, tell us briefly, what was that scene? How was that described on the page? Not the dialogue, the description part. And how did you get from those words on the page to what we saw on the screen? What did it say on the page?
The greatest pie-making scene in cinematic history.
That's
no,
what
no,
it
no,
said in the
I'm not
script.
saying that. That's what the call sheet said.
That's what it said on the call sheet.
So that's what you had to deliver.
I love that you guys clapped and you actually think I'm that pretentious, but I'm not. No, that's what it said.
That is truly what it said.
Yeah.
No pressure.
No pressure, exactly.
So how did you get there? How did you become a pie master?
Okay, wait, I'm actually going to step in.
Okay.
Because this is when I really do have to big you up. Okay, so Josh was so fucking pathologically terrified of that scene and baking the pie that he became obsessed with baking pies. Really, truly obsessed. So, like the brilliant actor that he is, he became brilliant at baking pies. And he would get up in the middle of the night and start baking. Really, truly start baking. And he would come into work and you would just see, you know, Teamsters standing around clearly eating pie that was not from the caterer. You know, and after a while I would think, fucker hasn't made me a pie. And so then Josh, and then he would tell people, you know, I'd walk in the trailer and I'd hear him saying, you should see the crust. God, I was so excited. It was the smell was just, you know. So this was going on. Finally, I was like, where's my pie, dude? You know, where's my pie? I mean, and I was actually kind of serious. So the next day, I baked your pie. I was like, oh my God, it looks amazing. It looks amazing. God, oh my God, you're getting really good at this. Okay, incredible. 5 weeks later, I baked you a pie. I'm like, oh God, okay. What am I going to do with this one? So every day until we did the pie making scene, you really did bake, like an absolute proper pro. And Joyce Maynard did give us all this pie making workshop, which was hilarious. I mean, I have to say, and there was just flour everywhere, and it was terrible, and everyone was terrible at some part of it, and then from there, yeah, but you did use all of the techniques that she showed us. And that were described in the book. It got to the point where
I baked so many pies, I actually thought that I was baking a better pie than Joyce.
You were.
Which I wasn't. No, I wasn't. But, you know, I'd go, I'm going to put a little more sugar in it. And mind you, I'm by myself in my little cottage with an apron on. It's 90 degrees outside. It's 100% humidity. It's the middle of summer. There's no air conditioning in my house. And it's the worst possible scenario in making a pie. And I knew that when we did this movie and when we promoted this movie, everybody was going to talk about fucking pie. And I'm completely happy to do it. Because I don't know rhubarb pie, I don't know cherry pie, I don't know apple pie, but I do know peach pie.
Well, I had a blast with this film, and I think everybody here did too. And I know you got to run, but I want everybody here to please thank our guests, Josh Brolin, Kate Winslet. Thank you so much.
And thanks, LA. Thanks everyone for staying. Thank you.